Okay, so as you guys know, I've been working on this Make School Safe Again deal. I have 3 kids all gonna go through the same school. So trying to kind of make the school a safe place. And here's kind of the things that I've done so far that I think are totally duplicatable that anybody could do in their local, community. Number 1, go down to the fire department and ask the fire department for decommissioned fire hose. And I went down to our local fire department and they gave me a 50-foot spool of decommissioned fire hose that's no longer safe for them to use on the trucks, et cetera, et cetera. What you can do with this is you use like a basic utility knife, cut it down into sections, slide it over. A lot of the schools have those big metal arms at the top of the door that let the door open and close. When you slide the hose over that, it keeps the door from opening and closing. Super easy way to repurpose something that was gonna go in the trash anyways and be able to lock down a classroom with it. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. So that's 1. 2, reach out to your local police department. I went down to our local police department and I sat down with one of the sergeants on duty who's in charge of the local resource officers, and I just said, hey, is it possible to get an officer at least daily to come by the school to do lunch, to have their lunch break, to fill out paperwork, et cetera, et cetera. They've been super receptive. No matter who you are, we all want our kids to be safe at school. So that's step number 2. Then step number 3, I reached out to, as you guys all know, I'm a big gun collector, big gun enthusiast. I like to shoot guns. I reached out to a place where I bought a bulletproof vest that I own, that I train with. And I asked them about medical bags. One thing I noticed in our school, there were no loaded med bags anywhere on the property. So not only is the school susceptible to an active shooter, but then once the active shooter was in the building, they had no way to stop bleeding, put on tourniquets, et cetera, et cetera. All of our teachers are required by state mandates to do continued education. So I got some med bags that are being donated that we're gonna put by every single fire extinguisher in the buildings, so that if somebody does get in there and we do have a situation, that we have a med bag that can be used to stop bleeding, tourniquets, et cetera, so that at least we can save lives. And then last but not least, reach out to the local EMT, in your community and say, hey, our teachers are required for that state, mandated, education, continued education, and create the program with them. Have the EMTs come out. They'd love to do that. And all of these things we've been able to do at our school are absolutely free. They haven't cost any money whatsoever. And think of, these are things that we wouldn't have had before, and it's an education. I mean, learning to, create blood clotting and stop bleeding is a life skill. It's like swimming in a pool, sink or swim. So these are all simple things that anyone can do. Get out in your community, knock on doors. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Everybody wants to make our school safe again. I'm going to continue to hop on here and post these videos of things that I've done to help out in our community, and hopefully share them with you guys, and you guys can duplicate them. As much as we want to say like, oh, our government's going to help us and whatever the case may be, it's going to be up to us to kind of self-educate and self-train and do these things, guys. So let's get out there in the community, make school safe again. Later.